lot of people who are American church leaders, who are activists in the American church community over the last month or so. And there was real concern among many of them that the new pope would not be in the mold of Francis, because one of the things that Francis did in what he said, yes, you can bless gay couples. Yes, if you are a divorced Catholic, you can have communion. The things that he did that were viewed as progressive, were giving people
progressive for the church, by the way.
For the church, yeah. Very much for the church. We're giving people license who had gone away from the church, stopped going to Mass. Many of them stopped giving money around the time of the sexual abuse scandal. A reason to come back to the church, a reason for them to be able to promote vocations. I'm not going to tell you that every single American Catholic leader loved Pope Francis. They didn't, but for many of the people in the trenches, that sound you heard here was a sigh of relief from them, Leo, 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 because they believe that this is the kind of person who can be attractive to an American Catholic community.
I know we're in boxes, but I am looking at your face. Chris, one of the complaints I've heard from family members or friends who are Catholic is that they don't feel as... they don't feel like their local priest is as approachable as maybe they did in years past. Like, there's a lot of different priests that cycle through, and maybe they don't fit the community so well. They're not a part of the fabric of the area. How big of a problem is that for the Catholic Church? And is part of that because they still don't allow priests to marry? You know, it's this lifelong celibacy. It's very lonely. And there's a lot of people that are saying to themselves, a lot of men, you know, I'm not sure that I want that.
And the number of seminarians has struggled, right? There was around Pope John Paul people who came back and decided that they wanted to go into the seminary, but it's a struggle. Many of the parishes now are led by priests who were not born in the United States and were not trained in the United States. And so
that's a complaint I heard from a friend in particular who said that she grew up in Tennessee. She went to the church, and they had a longtime priest that they loved. He moved on to another church, and they got somebody who wasn't from America and who they had a hard time relating to.
And if you even can keep your church open, sometimes you have one Mass a week, or if you live in a rural area, maybe less than that, or you have to travel. Not everybody lives in New York City where they can walk down the block. So I think they're going to look at this. There are a lot of people, particularly who run seminaries, who are going to look at this as an opportunity, because there is no doubt that the numbers of parishioners versus the number of priests is much, much, much smaller than it was when we were a first generation, second generation immigrant community, where every Catholic family felt they had to give one of their sons to the priesthood.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring in Marianne Ahern, our reporter with our NBC News Chicago affiliate. She's interviewed the Pope, the new Pope, several times. Also with us is MSNBC Vatican analyst Deborah Lubov. Marianne, first off, good to see you. Hello. Second off, tell me a little bit about the new Pope.
Well, I'm, of course, a reporter from Chicago, and I happened to meet him, only interviewed him once. It was briefly. It was 12 years ago, actually, at the last conclave. I met him right here outside the colonnades, asked him about Pope Francis, told us that it was a great pick. He was quite pleased. And it took me, in the last couple of weeks, as I heard his name being mentioned, I said, I think I've talked to him. And we found, of course, that very short interview. And then I started doing more research about who is he, why don't I know more about him? Because, of course, he was born in Chicago, has two brothers. He went briefly to Chicago High School before he went off to the seminary in Michigan. And then he went to Villanova University. Found a priest friend of his from Chicago, all set to interview him last week. And then he decided, perhaps because of the conclave, he should wait and not say anything. But Father Tony, and I wrote these notes down, said about then Cardinal Prevost, respected for his intelligence, good humor, and approachable, stamina and courage, and a good friend of Francis. And so I think that does give us a picture. Of course, folks in Chicago this afternoon, I was in the square when this all happened, and I heard Robert Francis. I said, oh, no way, it's the guy from Chicago. You know, and I heard that my newsroom was erupting with, oh my goodness, we just could not believe it. So, of course, we want to know more. We only know a nugget or two, but I do think as we've been talking to people, we did find it interesting that they all were saying, don't discount Provost. And I said, is that just to keep the American television audience interested? But it turned out, yes, it's a good thing we did have some research and knew exactly who he was. But it is, Chicago is just really lit up tonight about all of this.
Well, I have got to ask, do you think he's a Illuminati's guy or a Giordano's guy?
Ooh.
Well, probably Jansen's on the south side for hot dogs, I would think. There's a great spot in Beverly that people like to go to. The Midwest Augustinian home is right there in this Beverly neighborhood. And so he was back between his stints in Peru. He did have a stint back in Chicago. But also what I had read about him was no brash American arrogance. And that sort of tells you, you know, what others think about all of us. You know, we think that we're the best.
I don't know,
he's
Chicagoans,
the least American.
You guys are, I wouldn't say you're like brash like a Queens guy, you know. It's, you got a little more humility.
True,
I might get vilified for saying that on television. Deborah, tell me, this was so unexpected. I know we're going to emphasize that over and over again, but again, so unexpected. When you heard, I mean, as Marianne was saying, when you heard Robert Francis, I thought I heard that, but it didn't click until I heard you, Chris, exclaim an American. I mean, it's just, it's shocking.
It is. Everyone's just overjoyed because even if Pope Francis was from the Americas in Argentina, Pope Leo the 14th is the first from the United States. That is so significant. Yet he's this missionary who seems to already know the world and be able to communicate with it himself. He seems to have this stamina, as you were saying, and this warmth and ability to communicate the faith in a way that people really seem to have confidence in what he'll bring forward. And it's amazing to think that less than 3 years ago, he wasn't really even a cardinal, yet he had such a respect for all that he had accomplished in the Curia, as a missionary, as a religious, and all those elements clearly had convinced the College of Cardinals that this is the man. We didn't have to wait long, and even though they didn't know each other and there was the largest number, they all joined to vote for him.
Yeah, got him elected on the second day in time for him to deliver Mass on Sunday, just in time. All right, ladies, thank you very much. Coming up next, we are going to talk to somebody who knows Pope Leo the 14th, the American-born Pope, first ever, very, very well.
These dishes just aren't getting clean.
Problem isn't your machine. It's likely your detergent. I recommend switching to Cascade Platinum Plus. These new pods have the grease-fighting power of Dawn, easily removing up to 100% of tough stuck-on foods. Cascade Platinum Plus.
Are you throwing away money on your car insurance?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Try Insurify. We help you compare quotes and save half on your car insurance.
I like it when things are convenient and save me lots of money.
Go to Insurify.com and save up to $1,000 a year on your car insurance.
My doctor's office with a filing system from the 80s has my social.
Think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it. Guaranteed.
Allergies got you trying every trick? Grab Zyrtec for total relief. It works fast and lasts a full 24 hours. What are you waiting for? Go Z's the day with Zyrtec.
If you're living with diabetes, I'll tell you the same thing I tell my patients. Getting on Dexcom G7 is one of the easiest ways to take better control of your diabetes and help protect yourself from the long-term health problems it can cause. This small wearable replaces finger sticks, lowers A1C, and it's covered by Medicare.
Not managing your diabetes really affects your health. for the future. The older you get, the more complications you're going to see.
I knew I couldn't ignore my diabetes anymore because it was causing my eyesight to go bad.
Before the Dexcom G7, doctor's appointments were not something I looked forward to.
For my patients, getting on Dexcom G7 is the biggest eye-opener they've ever had.
When I got Dexcom G7, I couldn't believe how easy it was. This small wearable sends my glucose numbers right to my phone or my receiver. With just a glance, I can see if I'm going high, low, or steady, so I can quickly get my glucose under control and better protect myself from complications. My A1C is down to 5.8.
Call now to get started on the most accurate and most recommended CGM brand. You'll also get a free discussion guide for your next doctor's visit.
Dexcom G7 has changed my life for the better. Now I'm a superstar. My A1C is 5.7.
My A1C has never been lower. I go swimming, I ride my exercise bike, and I play with my grandkids. I finally have my life back.
My wife used to worry about me having diabetes before my Dexcom G7, but now she doesn't worry as much because she knows.
It gives me a lot of peace of mind. I want him to be around for
No other CGM system is more affordable for Medicare patients. Don't miss out. You may be entitled to this valuable benefit. Call the number on your screen now to talk to a real person.
We just signed the lease on our third shop. My assistant went to CustomInk.com to get new uniforms with all the locations. He found great products, uploaded new art, and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at CustomInk.com.
Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need? Now you can sell your policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Don't cancel or let your policy lapse without finding out what it's worth. Visit CoventryDirect.com to find out if your policy qualifies. Or call 1-800-527-0100. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance.
Custom Ink helps us motivate our students with custom gear. We love how Custom Ink takes care of everything we need so we can focus on the kids.
We make it easy to wow all your groups with high-quality custom apparel, accessories, and promo products, all backed by our guarantee at CustomInk.com.
Weekdays, Ana Cabrera from 10 a.m. Eastern to noon. Chris Jansen from noon to 2 p.m. And Katie Turr from 2 p.m. to 4. MSNBC reports, weekdays on MSNBC.
Today, we'll be talking with Jane Fonda.
At one point, she was the most loved and the most hated woman in the United States.
The war is being escalated in the most tragic, cruel way.
Welcome back to our breaking news coverage of the election of Pope Leo XIV, an American. Joining us now, someone who knows him very well, Father Joseph Farrell. I've got a Villanova grad in the control room going a little nuts right now because the new Pope is a graduate of Villanova. You are also an Augustinian. Tell us a little bit about the new guy.
Sure. We share that in common. We're both Villanova grads. Very proud of the fact. I'm still in a little shock. I'm sure he's very much in shock. Everyone keeps saying it's unbelievable, and yet this is what we prayed for. We prayed that the Holy Spirit would guide the Cardinals to select somebody who will shepherd the church as a good shepherd, in imitation of Christ, in imitation of St. Peter, and that's what we got. I really believe that. And I think that not only because he's my friend, because he's my brother Augustinian, but I believe that the College of Cardinals was very wise in listening to what the Holy Spirit had to say to them these past few days.
What do you think it was like in that room as the voting was taking place? 4 rounds. He comes out of it pretty early. What was so appealing about him to the other Cardinals?
Yeah, I believe certainly his global experience. He's, as we've been talking, throughout this evening, he's had a global experience. Certainly comes from the United States of America, has worked as our prior general of the Augustinian Order for 12 years, and has certainly been to visit our friars in 50 different countries throughout the world. Served as a missionary in Peru for many years, then went back and served as Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru. So he has that global experience. and he's an intelligent man, and he knows how to model. He knows how to be one to lead others by example. He listens. He walks with us. He would never do he would never ask us to do something that he is not willing to do himself. So I think those things are what would have attracted me. If I was going to be voting in the conclave, that would have attracted me.
What's he like more personally? I know Pope Francis was very gregarious, you know, was very emotional within the crowds, made a point of hugging babies. Is the new Pope as outgoing as Pope Francis was?
Yes, I believe he is. I think he has a great personality, great sense of humor, personable to talk to. The people that have been texting me since the announcement, most of them they were young adults and teenagers when we worked together. Pope Leo XIV now, and I worked together on a lot of youth commissions for the Augustinian Order, for World Youth Day. So a lot of the students who are now young adults have been texting me all evening. Can you believe it? We actually know the Pope and can say that he's their friend. They really respect him.
Can you tell me what is in his heart about where the church should go next?
Yeah, I wish I could speak to tell you what's in his heart. I don't know for sure. Certainly, the man that I know is one who loves the church very much, has dedicated his life to the church, and recognizes that every role that he's taken in the church was a role of service. He mentioned that, you know, certainly the pontificate of Pope Francis was an example to the world of reaching out to those who maybe have no voice or feel like they're on the margins or have been abused. And he is one that I believe, will continue to do that because he loves the church.
Do you think there's a significance that this conclave chose an American when America is in such a notorious position right now?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I hope they chose him, not because he's an American, but because he will be a good pastor for a universal church and model what that means to be, whether it's in America, Latin America, North America, Europe, the Southeast Asia area, the Asia Pacific area, Africa. He's ready to model what it means to be a servant in the church. So I hope they didn't choose him because he's an American, but because he's ready to serve.
Father Joseph Farrell, thank you very much for joining us. It's really good to have you. Congratulations on knowing and being friends with the latest Pope. Incredible.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Coming up next, we are going down into the crowds, more fun, who are ecstatic, as you can imagine, over Pope Leo XIV.
Work.